Hello and welcome to the Assetto Corsa Competizione Sim Series. This is the finale for Season 8 at Donington. I am Carafronta and I'm going to be doing the streaming for today. Obviously we normally have different people, but you know, we're all a bit tight on schedule and such in recent times, and so I am just stepping into the finale. I thought it would be a little bit sucky if we didn't get a finale stream for all the splits. So here we are at the lovely circuit of Donington, a track that I absolutely adore. Fantastic fun, and you know, not the easiest racing. It's a sort of typical old school tight twisty circuit, but It's not one like some of the worst tracks in ACC where you can barely get an overtake on. Qualifying has just started. If we have a look at the track map, you've got obviously the fantastic sweeping first section down the hill up to the middle section, even though it's not actually the middle sector, but the really stressful last two corners of Sector 2. I find that part the hardest part for me, honestly. And then the international section, the chicane into the two hairpins, which can be a struggle bus for a lot of people, but can also provide, honestly, the best overtaking possibilities. Gonna have to find out who Car 19 is so we can jump on board with them. It's like it's Marcus Haller. And he's going to lead us around for our first trip around the track into the first corner. You've got to dive it in quite deep because you can take a lot of this exit. Big run down the hill. Full speed here, real commitment, really fun bit. And then brake really earlier than you need to because you swing through this corner so fast at the bottom of the hill. Then another full speed section, just making sure you get your line right. Big brake, you got to make sure to straighten up and stay to the left so that you can come in as tight as possible and as straight as possible to get the line out up to this hill. An awkward uphill braking point, which means you can brake very late into there, and then you've got to get on the power early, and it's really hard in certain cars. I'm sure not the Aston Martin, honestly, but in the Nissan, which I'm driving, it can be really hard to not get your back loose as you dive into the chicane, really fast into the chicane, huge speed, accelerating from the first corner, straighten out the second half, as you do with a good chicane. And then a downhill braking point, equally awkward as the uphill braking point earlier. Honestly, swing round, a little bit slow there, I think, from Haller. Took a while to get turned in, went a bit too deep. And then a blind braking point here as Haller chunks over the curbs. And keep it nice and tight into the final sector here. And that was a lap of Donington. While we were on that lap, thank you to Koromoto 2007. Huge shout out for hitting us with a Prime. Don't need to explain what Prime is, everyone knows. Your Twitch Prime, your Amazon Prime, Amazon Gaming, as I believe it's called now. So, thank you very much. Time's coming in slowly. I guess the first two were quite far away from the rest on their first course, as we see Haller just going wide a little bit there behind our timetable. It'll take us a while to get times in. And so some okay times coming out here from the first couple here. Sicolas, Werner, and Butterman all in the 28s, but we're obviously going to see these dip incredibly as we go through the session. Zambrano here in the Aston Martin, the Mercedes. It's going to be really interesting to see what cars are good here, because it seems pretty inconsistent. I haven't been able to get a consistent idea from anyone of who what cars they think are the best. Thank you, Racing Grad 8. Shout outs for all the Saturday subs. Brano there must have cut the track at some point because he was up on his time. So we now go to Coviesto in the Lexus. Thank you, buddy. It's very nice of you. I'll obviously be here tomorrow as well. And then I might struggle to turn up as much to next season, but we're gonna try. I always enjoy watching motorsport, so I'm in for it. Zambrano on another good lap, so definitely looks to me like he might have messed up his first one a bit, and is having to do it again. Might have cut the track a little bit. As I said, we're still seeing a lot of people improving now. These are not the times that we're going to stay at. We're definitely going to get down further than this. So Zambrano at 29.7 now. Eric Hodge coming through to finish his lap. Sorry about this, but ACC is really annoying me recently, and one of the ways it's really annoying me is by turning off my circuit map. And then I try to look on my circuit map and see where people are. Oh no, it's not full now. Oh god, that's disgusting. Full. There we go. Perfect. The trials and tribulations of using ACC. Eric Hodge, 6th position now. It's Martin Butterman, 28.4. That is the new fastest time. 28.5 from Scott Walker. Another great time from him in the Lamborghini. Team name Rubber Dinghy Rapids, but team name should be the Maciej Markowski Driving School, because I believe that's why he's in the Lamborghini. Maciej's finally found some people to coach. Very happy. Maciej, obviously one of our original Your Band drivers. Yeah, ACC screws me every night. This is our relationship as a player and game. As much as I love ACC and especially ACCSS, I'm gonna be happy to take a few weeks break from it right now, I think. But you don't get anything like the driving feel of ACC, to be fair to it. So, you know, every cloud and all that. Scott Walker, 128.3. Just hearing from Racing Grid that he's been rapid in practice, and I know him and his lot, his friends, have all been in the practice server a lot. I've been with them a little bit. So could be seeing a good performance here from the man in the green Lambo. It seems to be more like the pace we're getting, because everyone has... I'm still seeing green a lot, but it's all small improvements. And it's really easy, I think, for people to lose their small improvements early on in the last sector, because the last sector is so hard to do consistently at this track. Who else should we shout out here? So Scott Walker is obviously leading a timetable right now ahead of Martin Butterman in the Porsche. Jonathan Werner in 3rd position in the bottom half of the 128s in a McLaren. Eric Hodge then just taken up 4th in a Mercedes, followed by Pambawashi. Pambawashi in another Mercedes. So quite a few Mercedes in the bottom split of here. Mercedes, Lexus, and Astons seem to be the silver split cars of choice. Gustav Gordstag. Gordstig, someone who I only know how to properly pronounce his name because he's another OG. He's been in ACCSS for a long time. You can see pit lane being a little bit awkward as they take that line through there. The rules for this week for all the splits are the same. In qualifying, it is the job of the person coming out of the pits to give way, and in the race, it is the other way around. I don't see Adam Rayner in this split. We have Paddy Redmond and David Chimilio, who are both in the pit lane. Thank you, ACC cameraman. Oh, with the nice Golf livery there in the Aston Martin. These two obviously having some sort of penalties. It's chill stream, so I'm not going to open it up to see what it is, but they will not be competing in qualifying and may have to start from the pits. And here, Zambrano coming through the last 2 chicanes. Like I said, this is a really easy place to lose your time, but he is up right now. He's actually gaining time in the first hairpin. Losing very little time in the last hairpin, so this is going to be a big improvement from him, up to a 128.2 in that 2nd position. Fantastic work there from Zambrano. Mercedes powerhouse. Hello, Mr. Tommel Tweeds. I don't actually have the standings for silver because obviously I am normally commentating gold, so I will try and get them up to see what's there. Alice in chat has just said it's Scott versus Tondi for the tier 4 win. From what I've seen, I've definitely seen Pambawashi doing well. I don't know if I should go to the other camera because I don't know. I haven't got a camera set up, so I don't know. That'll probably be a green square due to my awkward camera situation that I have. But yeah, Tondi Pambawashi is at 110 points right now, with Scott Walker just behind on 103. So this could definitely go either way, as no one is making any improvements right now. I think everyone just lining up for their last laps. Mindaugas Siausilas, who I still struggle with his name. I'm sorry, my man. He's in 4th position right now here in his Aston Martin. Sort of deep red. I want to call it deep red, but I'm sorry. Yeah, it looks like deep red. In certain lights, it looks a little bit brown. I'm not going to lie. But I think I see what he's going for here. He's 3rd position right now with 84. So a long shot, but still looking pretty good for a possible promotion. Martin Butterman, who's just taken the pole time, the first person to go into the 127.9s. He is in 4th position on 78. And then Jadka in 73. And Zambrano on 71. They're our top 5 in Tier 4. So, obviously, practice session split, 15-15, 15 for the AMs, then 15 for the pros, so we are right at the end now Our last driver's going to set laps. Reina Ressa is on a slight improvement, but he's got quite a long way to go. These guys at the back. Not spent enough time on Donington, clearly. Oh, and it looks like he's lost a lot of his improvement during the last corners. There's a couple of guys at the back getting small improvements, but not going to make up any positions. So we're going to have to start moving on to Tier 3 soon, most likely. Just keeping an eye on some of our faster drivers. Pambuashi, Walker, and Zambrano, all on laps right now. Then we're going to be on board with Dieter Santon. Dieter Santon for the first lap of the pros. So through the last corner, Scott Walker is still up on his time. All three of these guys actually very similarly up on their times. And Brano struggling a little bit there in that second to last hairpin. Same with Mpambuashi. Scott Walker is the only one who seems to keep his improvement through the last sector, and he is going to go on pole with a time of 1:27.8. Behind him, Pambuashi now coming through with his own improvement up to 4th position, so a nice one to end on. But Zambrano, unfortunately, when the ACC camera guy remembers what his job is, he has just dived straight back into the pit because he was not on an improvement. So now we're going through the first corner with Dieter Santon in 8th in the Porsche. Dieter Santon is actually doing very badly in the championship so far. I feel like he must have had some bad races around here. Because I believe he's a pretty fast guy. Cutting a lot of the curb there. You've got to be careful with that. It'll be fine in qualifying, but in the race you can get yourself punctures on that corner by hitting that curve a little bit too hard. So, around the end of the lap for our first of the pro times. On the accelerator nice and early there. Should be a decent bank lap. And actually he must have cut somewhere there. So we're seeing some of the pros hopping in. Vanden Dungeon with a nice time. Get them nice and early, nice and quick. Taylor as well. Jack Taylor. Oh, and there's Santon trying a little bit too hard. Here's Andrew Hearn just ahead of Bunyan, who just behind him in the standings. Ahead of him on track. Seems like there's a lot less people who are still around in this split. Have they been naughty boys? I've heard that this split has been a bit of a nightmare in terms of incidents. Andrew Hearn coming across with an improvement just ahead of Bunyan will also jump up the order a little bit. Bunyan all the way up to 3rd. Good job from him. There we go. Holy, that took a long time to load the steward's sheet there. So yeah, we have Louis Fernandez, Dion Iska, Brian Dahl, Vitor Isalbu, a Lamborghini in the wall, Bruce Hughes, Laszlo Nemeth, all with grid penalties. And then we have Gus Versus with a pit penalty. And Alexander Dahl is disqueued from this race. So a lot of punishments being handed out. We're going to see a much smaller list of people on the qualifying times for this one. Oh, very easy to do that. A little bit far from Van Den Dungeon. We'll hit on board with Malay. A lot of time to make up now. Malay coming through with a huge improvement to his time so far. He's still quite far back though, so actually he's just going to slot in. He's actually not even going to move up a position. That shows you how slow his first time was. That was a 2-second improvement from Malay, but puts himself right on the back of the time, so any more improvement from here will do him very well. Dieter Santon, who we watched on the first lap, is now coming through the chicane with almost a second of improvement, which could put him nice near the top. Jose Martins as well in the Bentley. I assume he's still in the Bentley. He is also on a pretty decent improvement. Jose Martin's actually in a Porsche. We've got a lot of Porsches here in Tier 3. Santon is going to jump up the leaderboard. I think Martin's coming through as the next one. We still do not have a pro driver on pole so far. Mark Bunyan, you can see up there in 4th position, is the highest pro driver so far until Jack Taylor puts in a great lap into 2nd position. Notice that one. So Jack Taylor actually in 2nd. My point still stands, but there are my other point that I was about to say doesn't stand. But there are only 3 drivers here in the 127s. 127.8 for Scott Walker, 0.9 for Jack Taylor, and 0.95 for Martin Butterman. So no one improving right now. They still got 5 minutes left. We might have a load of people in the pits just preparing for another run, perhaps. It doesn't seem like we have many pros managing to qualify so far, and it doesn't seem like many of them are managing to outdrive the AMs. So we're going to have an awkward situation here for them, where they're going to be sort of a weird middle class racing amongst what looks like the main class here of AMs. Obviously today it is an hour singular race rather than our normal set of two 30-minute races. Oh, too far there again from Van Dangen. Same mistake as well from Mark Bunyan. People are really enjoying pushing onto that grass. Have fun, Paul. I hope the men that you want put the ball into the hoop. That's how it works, right? Sorry to Santon. Looking at him now because he just is dipping into green on the relatives. Just the smallest improvement is getting me excited at this point, because otherwise literally nothing is happening in this server. 10th position so far for Dice Santon. 3/10 improvement. A couple of other drivers starting to throw on some improvements. That's Santon up to 2nd position. Next car will be Jack Taylor. Jack Taylor is up to half a second ahead of his time so far. So that Paul Gratrick's track temp is a bit too hot for mid-27s. Might be coming out the window if Jack Taylor can pull off the last part of this lap. Really tight there through the chicane. Tries to get on the power as early as possible. Out onto the curb. A little bit deep into there perhaps, but taking a late apex is the way to go through there. Just manages to keep the 6/10 improvement, and that puts him to a 1:27.294. Stein Van Dungeon crossing the line himself now with a half a second improvement. It's going to jump himself up to 3rd. So the pros finally managing to crawl their way to the top of the timetables. Huge shout outs to Scott Walker and Martin Butterman for managing to have their times amongst the faster class, showing that they're ready for that promotion next season. So Martins is on a run now. Jose Martins, the number 88. That was the same number I was running yesterday, so hopefully that doesn't mean anything for his pit stops. And he's just cooked it a bit too much at the chicane there into the wall. That's going to throw off his last chance at qualification, because they're Only 35 seconds left in this. Actually, there's a chance. Oh no, he's probably taken too much damage, hasn't he? He's going to back up. If he hasn't taken any damage, he could go for another one maybe, but I doubt he's going to go for that. Eric Strom getting around the final chicane now. I think he's the only one with a real chance of getting across the finish line to start a final lap. For his sake, I hope he can, because he's not improving on this one. He's very close. 3, 2, 1. He has crossed the line, and so he is going to get another lap. Behind him, Andrew Hearn comes through with a slight improvement, up to 15th. Merlet will not improve. Jack Taylor looks like he is on a very slight improvement, amazingly, at the head of the field. A slight improvement through the last corner, almost becoming a whole 10th. But nothing comes of it. So now we have the last chance for any improvement. That is Eric Strom. Bad run through the chicane there, loses a few tenths. So no improvement coming in here for the Audi, which means we have our timetable set for the one and only race of the day. Here we are on the front row of the grid with Jack Taylor putting in a fantastic time to put him on pole position for our race. Next to him is Scott Walker in the Lamborghini. Scott Walker leading the amateur split on the front row. Behind them, Stein Van Dungen in the Lexus and Data Santon in the first of the Porsches. Followed by Martin Butterman and Mark Bunyan in the Lamborghini. The very Johnson Button livery looking Lamborghini. Jose Martins and Zambrano behind them, with Tondarian Pambawashi and Mindaugas Sicilius leading out the top 10. Behind them is Werner, Hodge, Gordstig, Haller, Hearn, Daly, Jadka, Robu, Ressa, Strom, Coviesto, Sorensen, Merlet, Fernandez, Redmond, Chamilio, and Nemeth. And that looks like a pit penalty there for one of our guys. I do believe we had one pit penalty, so that will be why there is a space missing on the right side of the grid. These few at the back of the grid will have to swap around a little bit as they head off onto the formation lap. And obviously while they're doing that, we will watch some ads and some highlights. Thank you for being around, guys. Hopefully we're going to have a good race. And here we are, onto the grid. Green light immediately, and we are go. Jack Taylor with a good start. Dieter Santon there in the Porsche looking alright, but a little bit cautious into the first corner. We are still side by side a lot of the way back. Almost a hit there from Scott Walker on someone. Got to make sure he is being careful there as we come down to the old hairpin. All getting through cleanly for now. A couple of people trying to make moves into here, but much like the bronze split races that we had yesterday, it seems to all be going good. And then in the background there, we could just see the last car in our setup, who obviously started from the pits. That means that as we're all coming into the second sector, we have Jack Taylor still in the lead, ahead of Stein Van den Dungeon, with Scott Walker ahead of Dieter Santon and Martin Butterman. Jose Martins ahead of Pambawashi, who is the third place AM, who's made up a couple of places there on the start. Really nice work by him, getting ahead of Mark Bunyan. Werner and Zambrano rounding out the top 10 as Scott Walker going for a dive on Stein. Stein actually looks like he was a little bit too slow into that corner because Dieter Santon is having a look for him as well. As we come up into the final hairpin, they are side by side. The Lexus keeping the inside line is going to force the Porsche to go out wide. Isn't going to work from there. A few people kicking up dust a little bit on the inside as we have multiple side-by-side moments further back in the field, but everyone around our first lap pretty safely. There's one guy who's fallen back. That's car 912. So Jose Merle seems to have made a mistake somewhere and fallen back into the pack with the rest of the guys. Oh, just behind there as well. There was someone else going off that. Looks like Bunyan. Bunyan has gone a bit wide there, taken to the grass. He gets back on just ahead of the 86 Mercedes of Hodge. Hodge has a little bit of a run there. Nothing going to come of it. Back at the front, Scott Walker still fighting off Stein van den Dungeon. So a little bit of a look there from Stein van den Dungeon as we get down to the hairpin, but nothing quite happening yet. We can have a look further down in the field to see more battles happening. So everyone's still getting through quite well, obviously. Oh, as I say that, very close there from Nemeth in that McLaren right near the end. Pambamwashi here being pushed a little bit by Werner. Got a few more fights back down the order as well as number 13 is around. That's Zambrano. Oh no! The Zambrano fan club is out in force and there has been some sort of incident. We'll have to check a replay to see what happened there. Oh, Zambrano just getting nudged around in the last chicane by an Aston Martin. Sits nice and patiently. Oh, almost goes there. Sees the Aston coming. And the Porsche. Oh no! The Porsche just goes around the outside of him and he just doesn't realise that the Porsche's there or doesn't realise how close he is. Tries to back up off the track and makes a little bit of mistakes. And Zambrano there down in last place now. That's an unfortunate one. Stein still getting close to the Lamborghini ahead of him, really going for it in this one. Trying to keep the position there. So we've got all the Golf livered Aston Martin going for a big dive there on our hairpin cam. Andy T68, thank you very much for throwing us in one of those Twitch Primes. So Stein keeping up a really good pace of Scott Walker, but not able to really challenge him there. Scott was nice and aggressive on the original move, and seems to have done well for him because he doesn't have the pace to really run over Stein, but getting ahead of him nice and early has been really good for him. Watching Bunyan, who's fallen down the field from 6th position where he qualified to 11th. Not too bad seeing as how big that off was almost there. But a little bit of a slow move there as well. Puts the Mercedes just around side him. And he comes on a bit too much. He's going to go sliding onto the track as well. He did have his brakes on by the looks there, but they just don't do anything on the grass. And that has absolutely put the poor man around. Gets off onto the grass to come around again. And he will be... Ooh, that was scary. Back onto the track right near the end as we see Zambrano in the background. Zambrano going to be making a move here. It looks like he's going for a dive in on them. Yeah, gets melee there into the chicane. Really nice. Hard move to make, but he's got a position up, so he's going to start on his climb back up the order. So we're now seeing Hearn. I actually pushed the wrong button there twice in a row, but whatever. I wanted to go full screen to this cam, but... Great shot there of all the cars rolling past. And Hearn has fallen back a little bit from Hodge, so didn't miss much on that engagement, fortunately. In front of us, we could just see the McLaren there of Werner fighting with Mindaugas. These guys still going for it. They actually are. Mindaugas trying to get on the inside there into the chicane, but Flight Drop backing out there, you really can't be dive bombing anyone into that chicane. It's not really a place for those sort of moves. You've got to be fully alongside before the turn happens if you're going to make anything happen there. At the front still, Jack Taylor with a very healthy lead, and Scott Walker just leading Stein Van Dungeon. Scott Walker really seems to be struggling a little bit here. The Lexus is all over his back here. And Stein is going to want to get ahead because he's losing all sorts of time behind this Lamborghini. It being a Lamborghini as well, you know, we've gone a whole 10 minutes into this race. It can't be long before the tyres are going to start going off. In the back we still have obviously a lot of drivers all together. A couple of people side by side. Actually, is that Reina Ressa just going on a bit of a dive bomb mission there on Jadka. Jadka on the grass to try and get the cut pack, but isn't going to manage it. Has to fall in behind there and is now getting challenged slightly there by Luis Fernandez. Ten seconds in for Mindaugas. 10 seconds in for Nemeth. So the stewards getting to work already. Jadka got very close to the back of the McLaren ahead of him there, which is really putting himself in danger from Fernandez. This is not a place to overtake, luckily for him, so no risk quite yet. But then we have another Aston Martin going off. That is Haller, I believe, Marcus Haller. He's going to lose multiple positions there. Luis Fernandez, though, clonking over the curb. You can see what I mean. That is a dangerous place to be. You could very easily lose your tyre there. Luis Fernandez there on the inside of Marcus Haller. So he's got to an awkward position now for them, because Haller is actually possibly going to lose another position to the Audi of Robu. He manages to hold off there by just keeping close on the line. But Haller falling like a stone through the field right now, unfortunately for him. On board with Stein Van Dungeon, we can see what it's like for him trying to chase Scott Walker down as he gets a little bit loose there. You can see how he's getting so aggressive here. He really wants to make that move, but all the time he's stuck behind Scott Walker. Data Santon and Martin Butterman are really closing in, but he just can't make the move. Scott Walker was really nice and aggressive on the first lap, getting around there and Stein just hasn't been able to do the same. Scott Walker has been smooth ahead, and that is often the best way to be in defense. Every one of these little mistakes Stein makes by just trying to push past is setting him up for a fall in terms of the cars behind him possibly getting past. Scott Walker taking a big chunk of the grass there, but it's okay as long as you keep momentum and don't get thrown about too much. Nemeth's picked up a second 10-second penalty somehow. That is not a great look. Stein once again back up behind Scott Walker, and this is how you can tell that he has the pace. If he was able to be ahead of Scott Walker, he could pull away, because he's always just right up to the end. And I know he's got the slipstream, but it's not that powerful. We're not in Formula 1 cars here. Back of the field, Zambrano carrying on his attempted comeback along with Mark Bunyan. Mark Bunyan, who's done a pretty decent job pulling his way through the back part of the field, is now going for a move on Chimillo soon. Yes, GT Sport with the slipstream turned way up. I wish you could turn the slipstream up in ACC, that would be fun. If they allowed us to do that, as the Lamborghini is going to get a really nice run on the Aston, I would definitely want to do a Paul Ricard race with the slipstream turned all the way up. So into the first corner, they're still side by side. It's not going to be an easy one for Bunyan. He's probably going to have to sit in behind, but if he has the pace in here, he can slot himself on the inside, but he doesn't. Giving some flashes, trying to tell your boy, I'm coming past whether you like it or not. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. But Chimillo has all the right in the world to stay ahead if he wants to. So the run through the chicane is so important on this layout of the track to how you can overtake. You can get a really nice run out of here, which you can see Bunyan has, then you can just dive to the inside and slot past. Can't manage to do it there though, didn't quite have the pace, so it's going to have to go again as we see another Aston Martin around. But Chimillo there, I think Redmond around, and Chimillo had a little bit of a booty wiggle on the way out, and that's going to let Bunyan past. Still got a pretty nice tight field in the middle of the pack here, which is really nice to see. We have a couple of pairs of cars further up, but then down here just behind the top 10, all the way from Werner actually in 9th position, as Jadka gets a little bit of a slide on ahead of Luis Fernandez, and then all the way down to Robu in 18th. Knights to 18th, all on the same section of the track. Really nice to see. Out front, we have a couple of pairs really racing. Stein, Van Den Dungeon is still chasing down Scott Walker. Behind him, Butterman, Santon, and Pambwashi have a little bit of a battle of their own going on. And right here at the hairpin, we are in the middle of the pack. Luis Fernandez looking aggressive, but nowhere near close enough to make anything happen. Ressa going wide. That's putting him in danger. But as long as you can get a good enough exit on this one, you can actually still do all right from that, because you are still placed on the inside of the track. So it's not the absolute worst place in the world to go wide, as long as you can get a good, strong exit. This big pack makes its way through the first 2 corners and starts to head down the hill. Still, no more penalties come out, so we definitely seem to have too many stewards in the stewarding room right now. Jadka once again going to make a little bit of a mistake. Can Luis Fernandez take anything from that this time? Luis Fernandez not only getting past Jadka there, but actually pulling past Ressa as well, it looks like. Side by side into the last hairpin. Going to try and get a good exit out, and he swung around wide and kept a lot of momentum in. This is good for him for the first corner, but before them, Eric Hodge has had a little bit of a mistake as well, so this might end up being 3 wide over here. It is into the first corner. Hodge being very careful there and going to cause a little bit of an incident, because the cars on the inside can't quite squeeze around. Luis Fernandez is going to finally take that position. Once we've seen that he's got that, let's have a look at Eric Hodge and that incident into the first corner. So from the helicam you can see it clearer as the 2 cars who've got a better exit come around him. He brakes pretty early just to be safe. And the Aston Martins actually, it looks like Haller punched Jadka into Hodge. It looked like before Haller came in just too fast, it would have been fine. And then Jadka even might lose a second position here. He does, to the Mercedes for Jason Daly. So that's looking like it's going to be a penalty coming in there for Marcus Haller. But obviously we will have to see how the stewards feel. If the stewards feel the same way as I do about that. Looked pretty clear to me, however. Oh, we actually had I just saw on our other camera there, a little bit of door banging going through the last chicane as well. So Robu on Jadka as well. Really wants to get past his, just slamming it in. Oh, there might be another penalty coming in for that. He's really turning in while there is just another car on your inside, and you just cannot do that. That's pretty terrible driving there from Robu. I'm sorry, my lad, but there is another car there. Jadka, battered and bruised, is going to get back onto the track. Coviesto now also coming ahead of Robu. We're back up to our big sort of train at the front. Stan Van Dungeon has fallen back a little bit from Scott Walker, still keeping him honest, but not able to really do too much more right now. Dieter Santon then, a little bit behind him, and he is at the start of this train, so this is really the furthest forward action that we have going on in the race right now. Have our first few drivers moving into the pits right now. No one really up the front is going to be doing that. We're going to have a check when these guys get around to the end. Ooh, a little bit close there, slightly awkward. But they're all getting through fine as we come round towards our last corner. See there, Alexis Stein Van Dungen, the first of our leaders to pit as the rest of the pack come through. There's Pambuashi. He's going to be the next one to take the dive. You see there some of the guys I mentioned diving in on the first lap coming out, some of the back marker Astons there. So this is splitting our pack up a little bit, and we're going to have both more issues with back markers and less fighting on the racetrack for a little bit, as we are in the beginning of our 20-minute pit window for this race. Good evening, Chris. Good to see you here. Thank you for everyone who is coming around to watch this slightly surprise stream. Bunyan is in 22nd, and he's actually just taken the position off Paddy Redmond into 21st, so he is making a little run up the order, although a lot of the people behind him have pit. That might not be as good as it looks. He actually is behind Zambrano, so he must have made another mistake somewhere. Zambrano carrying on his little comeback after that incident we saw him have earlier. Gustav's being chased down by Louis Fernandez. See a few more cars going into the pit. That's Butterman and Mindaugas. Louis Fernandez also going into the pits. So Scott Walker has inherited the lead from Jack Taylor. Oh, Stein Van Dungen here getting caught up behind Paddy Redmond, who is a back marker but is technically still out ahead. So he doesn't have to give up this position, but Stein will be very frustrated here, losing a lot of time. He needs to get good runs out here so that he can pull off the undercut on Scott Walker, who's still out in front right now. Ooh, be careful, Paddy. They both get through there. Blue flags flying everywhere right now. So we are towards the midpoint of our race, which is obviously where everything is going to be the absolutely most split up. Daly here is, however, fighting Rainer Rassa for position just ahead of him. So you get Robu with a 5 seconds for that door banging earlier, and Marcus Haller has got his 10-second. Daly there, right on the edge of grip. Looked like the back end was just starting to step out. But he has managed to keep it. Jose Martinez out here at the front, still on the run with Dieter Santon, and this is an important one. Scott Walker is into the pits. So we're going to have to see what happens to Scott Walker compared to... we could look at it compared to Jack Winter, but I think the more important one is obviously to see where his direct opponent Vanden Dungeon comes out. Vanden Dungeon is on the straight, and it does look like he's managed to pull off the undercut. I think that was the Lamborghini that we could just see behind. Yeah, there we go. Just Scott Walker lost out from taking the longer run. He's now back down into third position after the pits have come out, unless there are some crazy pit stops. Haven't seen anyone taking the old pit lane yet. Hopefully for their sake, no one manages that mistake. There's Robo. Robo, having not pit, is leading Zambrano in 8th and 9th position, but they are nice and close to each other. Zambrano having the advantage right now because Robo obviously on that 5-second pit penalty. Robo going out wide. This time he has the space to turn in. Ooh, very loose there from Zambrano. Stuck in right behind the Audi. Getting a little bit tight there going for that corner. We saw a few people fighting for position. Butterman and getting past Redmond and Abuashi there getting past what looks like to be a back marker McLaren. Welcome, Julio. Nice to see you, my friend. We are just coming up to halfway through the Silver Split finale. People are getting through their pits, which will start putting us back together. As we are right now, Andrew Hearn is leading the race. Jack Taylor looking to dominate the race after the pit stops have all gone through. Snowman Dungeon is actually really close to Jack Taylor now. He's done a really good job. He might have been able to challenge for the win of this race if he wasn't stuck behind the Lamborghini for so long. The last lap time between these two guys were about 1/100th difference. It was 0.013 between their lap stops, their lap times. Stein a little bit slow that lap, but look how close they are. Stein really pushing it here. You can see he's making all these little mistakes because he can see Jack Taylor in front of him. And he knows how fast that guy is. He knows he needs to be on his top lap times to challenge this. But Scott Walker, who he was stuck behind, is doing a good job leading the AM split. Now that Stein has managed to make the position, he's 7 seconds behind. But still a good 2 seconds ahead of Santon, and Santon isn't even in his split. Butterman looking to be second position in the AMs right now. Just 4 seconds ahead of Pambawashi. Zambrano right now being the back marker just ahead of our leaders. Possibly looking to dive into the pits. There he goes. Gets out of the way of the leaders. Nice timing. And that has put Stein right up on the back of Jack Taylor. Ooh, really aggressive there. Full on qualifying line coming out from Stein van den Dungeon. He wants to make this happen. I hope his tyres are alright, because can be pretty aggressive doing that. Really nice run through here as well. Is he going to go for the move? Jack going a little bit defensive there. Not too much though, just enough. Hello, Von Glan. Nice to see you as well. 6-hour Paul Ricard. Holy. Definitely going to have to check those up. I'm getting a little bit behind on some of my real-world motorsport, unfortunately. Right now we are watching Stein van den Dungeon chasing down Jack Taylor. Jack Taylor realised he's under pressure now and is pushing it. He's back down into the 1:28s to match Stein's time. That's unfortunate. I haven't watched any of the real life, the Fanatec challenge stuff yet. I always find if I want to watch sim races, I want to watch actual sim races, right? So, Marcus Haller now in to take his pit stop, which is going to be, it looks like the last in the field, which shows us what our actual order shall be. Down the back of the field, we've even got some fights going on here. Robu trying to hold off, or trying to get past Nemeth just ahead of him. Eric Strom here, he's having a little fight with Bunyan, who's had a terrible race, falling right down the order. These guys are just behind Zambrano. Jadka seems to always be in combat just ahead of Coviesto. Andrew Hearn there, right ahead of Mindaugas. This is incredibly close here, and just up from these guys as well. Jose Martins and Luis Fernandez seem to be really close to each other. Oh, here we go. Jack Taylor had to go really defensive there, but the Lexus still on the inside. Stein just giving him the room there. Maybe being a little bit too passive here is Stein. Could have possibly got in there, but not wanting to have an incident. He's still got 20 minutes left, so he doesn't have to make doesn't have to dive too much. Oh, Stein once again getting a really nice run through the chicane, dives to the inside, gets the braking on. Jack turns in real tight there, not giving him much room, but no contact between the two. See them now coming through the first corner together.
Window is now closed.
And once again, we're back at this chicane where Stein needs to have a really nice run right on the back there. Jack already going defensive. Stein can't do much of a switchback because the Mercedes is right on that inside. Oh. And here is another move. Andrew Hearn successfully being dived there by Mindaugas, but there's a little bit of a slower exit. Have to be careful on his acceleration, and the McLaren just pulls away. You can keep an eye on our leaders in the corner there while we're watching this fight. Oh, and off the road there from Mindaugas. It's going to put Andrew Hearn back ahead. Really going for it, but just not quite going to work. Zambrano looking for Chimillo. He's still been slowly making his way up the order. Stein going for it again. Once again not making it, going a little bit wide there. Werner has Gorgeduke on his back. We've got so many fights going on in this field. Zambrano right on the back of Chamillo. We'll check all of these going into the hairpin basically while we keep our eyes on the P1 fight. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle there in the box from Stein. That's going to fall him back and probably lose him this chance at an overtake. The battles further down the field starting to cool off a little bit as we have Mindaugas back onto the tail of Andrew Hearn. Stein doing a really good job catching up to Taylor. You can tell that he has the pace on the Mercedes at this part of the race because of how quickly you can see him catching up. I bet you're thinking right now, if only Jack would go that wide when I was actually in a position to try and take him on. Another little wiggle there out of the last turn. But he's still reasonably close. Mindaugas doesn't look reasonably close to Andrew Hearn, unfortunately. Oh, that is it right there. We just saw in the bottom corner Jack Taylor making a little mistake, getting wiggly going down into the old hairpin, and that has thrown Stein van den Dungeon into the lead of this race. Huge shout out to the man in the Lexus here, who if he can continue showing the pace that he was showing when behind the Mercedes, we are going to be able to see him just slowly pulling off into the distance. This man has had huge pace in the last sector of this race, since spent so much of the beginning stuck behind Scott Walker, who we can see still in third position as the leader of the AM split. Jose Martin's there going side by side with Alexis, although it looks like it must be a back marker because he was very much taking the line that you take when you want to give someone a position there. Reina Ressa in his pink marker. Eric Hodge, Jason Daly and Marcus Haller all very close to here. Nice little battle here actually going on for 14th place this would be for. Apologies for the WhatsApp ping. I hope none of you thought that was yours. Zambrano as well, still behind Jamilio. But he's looking like he does have the pace to pass, much like Stein, if he can just find the opportunity. Jack Winter doing a really good job sticking to the back of Stein now. Both perhaps showing that it is easier to follow than to be in the lead. Werner and Ressa here battling for 12th. Ooh, a little bit wide there for Werner. That's going to hurt. That's not what he wants to see. Yellow flag you can see on the map is Octavian Rovu, who has lost it at the fast right-hander. Jason Daly just not able to take that chicane, it feels like, in fast enough of a way to really challenge Hodge here. As Zambrano, coming down to the chicane, has actually already made the move on the Aston Martin. Let's catch a replay of that one. Really aggressive through there, and there we go. Actually, both of them going wide. Oh! Zambrano almost losing that advantage that he got from Chilmillo going off, but just manages to keep it going. Ole from the Zambrano fans. So he's managed to make it back up into 18th position from being right back in 26th after his early on incident. Oh, what is this? That's Gorgestig. He just looks like he's put a dive on someone. Oh, he's just in an absolute pool of McLarens here. Yep, so it looks like one of the McLaren's on the dust a little bit, going slow. Yeah, so he kind of catches up just before the corner where he doesn't want to have to catch up. And so has to dive onto the grass really there just to avoid a collision from Gustav Gorgestig. Here we can see on board with him. This is a nice little close pack going. Santon Butterman still fighting out front. Those guys are within a second. But after them, the first real battle is these four here. Andrew Hearn, Rainer Ressa very close there in the first two McLarens, with Gustav Gorgestig being chased down by Jonathan Werner just behind them. Whoa, Rainer Ressa making a mistake. The same mistake, basically, that we saw Andrew Hearn make the lap before. This starts to tighten this whole group up again. Oh, yeah, that is something that I didn't quite notice. I was talking about Santon and Butterman having a fight together, but Pavel, our head steward, has just pointed out that Sam Walker, getting to the end of this race, is just starting to fall into the clutches of Santon and Butterman behind him. Now, Santon isn't really a worry for him, because he is obviously in a different split, but Butterman, that green Porsche, they are in direct competition. As we see here, mistake made there by Anton is really going to put him under pressure from Butterman. Butterman actually just escaping the chicane there, didn't want to dive behind them. Going to get himself behind Paddy Redmond. He's going to have to lap that green Aston Martin once again before he can get back down to fighting here. Just see he's got Walker in the back of that shot. Paddy Redmond is going to get out of the way. Very good of him. That is the correct position to do so. Don't give up your position when you're in the middle of some tricky corners. Just let him follow you for a little bit and then give him the position back. So this little group still going on. Jonathan Werner at the back of this little train. Oh, big mistake there from Werner. That's going to put him right back from the guys ahead of him. Gustav Godstig still on the back of Reina Ressa. Oh! Why is Pamboshi going slow? This is Tondi Pamboshi, who was in 6th position, who is just going slow. There's 5 minutes left of the race. Has he run out of fuel 5 minutes early? That's quite an underfuel there. The only real explanation is that he is underfueled, or he has some sort of real-life emergency that he has to attend to. But yeah, he still has power, so it looks like it might have been the latter. Super unfortunate for Pamboshi there. Whatever it is, thankfully it's not too important, because he is back into racing now, so nothing too serious, but yeah, pedals disconnected. Possibility there. Could have accidentally pushed the ignition button. I have the ignition button right next to my camera change button, so I am always terrified of doing that, but that's a super unfortunate thing for Pamboshi. I mean, it probably doesn't change too much because he was losing the championship fight anyway to Scott Walker, who's had that incredibly good run. But yeah, pedals disconnected. Or ignition button. One of those confirmed. I'm not quite sure of the order of the conversation, but really unfortunate for Pamboshi because he was having a good race there. In the lead of this race still is Stijn van den Dungen after his incredible pursuit of Jack Taylor. Jack Taylor in 2nd position is just slowly falling back for him, with Scott Walker in 3rd. Scott has managed to just pull away from those Porsches that were threatening him before. Butterman and Santon still fighting there. Butterman just falling back from Santon, actually. Is fighting now with Jose Martins. We have this battle just further back, and then Jose Martins staying ahead of Luis Fernandez into the chicane. a little bit wide there from Hearn, but manages to stay just ahead of Rasa. Rasa really looks like he might just have the pace here. Behind them, we can still see this fight going. Eric Hodge has managed to pull a little bit away, but still Daly and Haller just fighting behind him. Zambrano also has found another target. He's right up behind Coviesto now. So there we go. Those last 5 minutes gone pretty quickly. Zambrano, I thought would have a good chance to get past his Lexus, but he's actually at a point where he's got to be pretty desperate now if he's going to dive in here. It looks like Zambrano is in the points, so he is still getting a little bit there. Who else do we have still close? Jack Taylor pulling in a little bit on Stein there, taking to the grass, really pushing it to try and make something happen on this last lap. Stein just needs to make sure to take it nice and calm, not make any mistakes, not leave anywhere too open if Jack does get close. Jack's going to have to really barrel it through here. If you've got any track cuts, boyo, this is the time to use them. But no, it looks like here we go. As an Audi pulls up. Oh, just again, just getting right out the way of the leaders. Doesn't want to ruin any last lap antics. And so there, Stein van den Dungeon wins from Jack Taylor. Scott Walker coming around the last corner to win for the AMS. Then Butterman and Fernandez here, just behind Santon. Check all of our last fights into the chicane in case they produce anything. But we have more back markers just getting right out of the way, not wanting to cause any last lap incidents. Jason Daly getting really aggressive on Hodge on this last lap, but not looking likely. And then our last chance saloon really is Zambrano, but he's fallen back a bit from Coviesto. I'm surprised how badly it seems the Mercedes takes that chicane, honestly. I would have thought that he would have really managed to pull through it. Getting where the Hearn lost it on the last lap there. That's an unfortunate one. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. We're going to have to wait 10 seconds because I'm an idiot before we can then go back and time a minute. See if we can catch this. Here we go. Oh, through the chicane as well. Yeah. Like I said, if you do have time for some track cuts, this is when you use them, but unfortunately just a bit too much there. So for the AM split, Walker has come out ahead with the win. So that means he's going to win the AM Championship as well. Congratulations to Walker. Enjoy getting stepped on next season by the Gold Split guys. I hope you're into that sort of thing. Pambawashi is quite far down, but he had a decent lead, so I would still expect him to come out. I would still oh, there's an interesting bug. Look at that. There we go. Just fix that. I would still expect him to come out in the top 3, possibly even still top 2. Mindaugas was in third position, but Butterman got a much better position in here, so I'd expect Butterman to be the last person getting out of this championship so far. Yeah, Butterman in second, so Butterman is going to be the last person. So that's Scott Walker, Pabashi, and Butterman. Actually, they're not going to be in gold, are they? They're going to be getting stepped on by the pro drivers, but they've already proved that they can handle that as they're right up the front here. Steinvan and Dungeon, huge shouts to him for winning this final race. Steinvan and Dungeon and Luis Fernandez went into this final round tied in first position on 118 points. And Stein has absolutely dominated that last race to put him into the lead. Jack Taylor coming in second. He was in third with 99, so it looks like he might have jumped Luis Fernandez as well, who is down in sixth position, which should leave him just in third, just getting into the gold split ahead of Andrew Hearn. Andrew Hearn, who might have managed to steal it, but binned it at the last moment. Probably... No, he wouldn't have made it anyway. But, yeah, so that was a pretty fun race as the AC cameraman does his thing. Got to give a shout out to Tom Tweedy. Thank you for helping me with some extra cameras. Shout out to all of the racers. Everything like that. It was good fun. Yeah, so shout out to all of you guys, I guess, is the last one to do. Thank you for coming and watching with me for this last minute stream of the Silver Split. I thought it would be a bit crap if there wasn't a stream for these guys' finale. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time, a little bit early actually, because we have our GT4 race for the Gold Split. And then that will be the end of Season 6. We're going to... I'm going to try and remember to organise some stuff for hopefully doing Wreckfest, getting a Wreckfest server up instead of doing Stream Racer for tomorrow. But we might end up just doing Stream Racer again. We'll see how we're feeling on the organisational front. So thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.